So here's crazy old Bob, the car guy, with, another car confession. Much as I raved about that 2016 E250 Mercedes BlueTEC in a previous video, really loved that car, I got rid of it. I'm crazy. I'm car crazy. I'll admit it. There's no question about it. That 2016 model was the W212. It was a diesel. It was powerful, economical. It really was a great handling, riding car, a wonderful vehicle. The only problem is there's an awful lot of very complex technology to try to keep that diesel within the pollution control limits that they have established now, not just in the U.S., but worldwide. And I got to be a little concerned about whether all that stuff was going to be very long-lasting. And so, started to think about what would be an alternative. And, of course, I landed on one. This is the 2022 E450, a gasoline car. This is dubbed the W213. It was the Motor Trend Car of the Year in 2021. They really didn't make any changes in 22 except possibly adding another exterior color or something like that. This E450 is one that had a few miles on it, but it's got the CPO warranty and all that. So what this 450 is now is an inline six-cylinder. It's a 3-liter turbocharged 6, and behind that they have bolted a 48-volt mild hybrid battery-powered motor that helps with torque. It helps get the car off the line a little faster. It definitely makes that transition between stop-start all but invisible. It works really well. 4MATIC, of course, is the Mercedes name for all-wheel drive. Not something you have to have in Florida by any stretch of the imagination, but you can't get the E450 in any configuration except four-wheel drive. So that's why we have it. Now, one might ask if there's anything about this high-tech machine that an old-time Mercedes owner might recognize. Let's take a look. Well, one of the things it always does is beep at you like that whenever you open the door. Why does it do that? I have no clue, but it does. Well, here's one thing that would be familiar. The seat adjustments. This basic arrangement, there it does that too. I don't know what that's about. I had a W126 with a seat arrangement very similar to that. Another thing that would be pretty familiar to an old Mercedes owner is the arrangement here of the headlights. They haven't really changed that dramatically in all the years. And another thing that's going to be pretty familiar is the turn signal headlight switch right here. This is all pretty much the same. But the one thing that's missing is the cruise control stalk. That's gone, having been replaced by all these fussy little buttons right here. They are touch sensitive, so that you have to slide them up and down to get them to do what you want. And it's not easy to figure out what the heck they are. One of the things about the cruise control drove me absolutely nuts. It has the adaptive cruise control, which generally means that if the car in front of you slows down, your car will slow down with it. That's great. But this one had a deal where if the speed limit changed, the car would slow down to what the speed limit was shown. And that wasn't so bad, except if you were on the freeway and where they had a weigh station for trucks. Well, the speed limit for the trucks at the weigh station is usually 45 miles an hour. The freeway speed is 70. But the car would see the 45, and it would haul you down from 70 to 45 like that. You can defeat that, but it took me a good hour looking through the owner's manual to find it. I was on the phone with Mercedes tech support, which is all but useless. So at the bottom line on this car for me is it's a great car to drive. The handling and the ride and the powertrain are wonderful, but the high-tech features are so annoying that I have gotten to the point where I actually hate the car. I do not want to have it anymore, and it's going to go bye-bye.
So at this point, you sort of have to stop and wonder, what is wrong with this guy? Going from a really nice 2016 Mercedes, the silver-colored diesel, to that dark blue beauty in the space of less than a year, and saying, I really hate this car. What's going on? Well, it wasn't just the cruise control and stuff. It was all of the technology in it. Let me give you just a couple of quick examples. You're supposed to be able to get internet reception through the car, and I signed up for that through an outfit called Hotspot Drive. I wanted to be able to stream some music from my phone onto the car's audio system, and that would be the way to do it. Well, unfortunately, every time I hooked it up, it would play music for maybe as much as a couple of minutes, then it would say buffering, and it would stop. I contacted Hotspot Drive, and they said, we'll take a look at it. And we determined, they said, a couple of weeks later in an email, that the problem is not with our system, but it's with Mercedes, and Mercedes will be contacting you. Huh. Well, there was nothing, not a peep, not a squeak, absolutely nothing. Hotspot Drive extended my subscription by a couple of months in anticipation that the whole thing would get worked out and so on, but it never did. And as I was getting close to that free 2-month period, I said, well, I'm going to take my laptop down there and see what kind of download and upload speeds I'm getting. And if it's really low, then I'm not going to accept the idea that the problem is not on their end. Well, the upload and download speeds were surprisingly good, about as good as you'd get at home. But still, with all of the audio I tried to stream, it was just buffering. So I wrote to Mercedes tech support, and I called Mercedes tech support, and I got absolutely nothing. Got nowhere with them. They'd saying an email, we received your message, and we'll get back to you soon. I don't know, maybe as soon as the next millennium, I don't know. And the same thing with the phone calls. Their tech support phone service is basically worthless. They couldn't do a thing. Well, how about take it to a dealer? Well, I bought the car from a dealer 30 or 35 miles away, and they have a very long wait time up there at that place. And I thought, I don't know if I want to do that. And then there's a closer dealer to me, but didn't buy the car from them. They also seem really busy. How much interest do they have in trying to fix it? So you come to the question of, why does Mercedes not, if they're going to sell these highly technical cars, do one of two things: either make that technology optional, or at a minimum, teach people how to use it, and not with YouTube videos, which are, interesting and informative, but it's not the same as having somebody instructing you either in a classroom or ideally even person to person individually. So the conclusion I came to is that, yeah, this is a great car to drive. It's fun. It handles well. It has a lot of power. But what's the most expensive thing about owning an automobile? It's the depreciation. And so every time I get into that car, I get pissed off because it's costing me a ton of money and I'm not enjoying it. I'm not able to get value from all of the features that I have paid for. It's crazy. I don't disagree with anybody who says it is. It is crazy. But I found something that I liked better. Is this one going to last? Goes. First 3 months, very satisfactory. Beyond that, your guess is as good as mine.
This is a 2013 Mercedes S550. It's the fifth in the generation of S-Class cars that Mercedes built, starting way back in, I guess, the mid-70s or so. I've owned two previous S-Classes. One was a 1980 300 SD, a diesel, and then a 1987 560 SEL, a gasser. The diesel, the 1981, was a great car, but it didn't survive too well the salt of Minnesota winters. And the 560 SEL, I can't quite remember what happened to that. My wife and I drove it to Washington, D.C. and back one time. It was a great car, but, maybe at that point I'd gotten into snowmobiles and needed something to haul a snowmobile trailer. I don't know what happened. Anyway, this one here is a 2013, like I said, and I happened to find it online. I was looking for something to replace that E450 that I talked about earlier that I grew so much to dislike because of the technology. You could go back to those earlier ones, the 1980 and the 1987 versions, but finding ones that are in good shape and that have been well sorted out and that don't have too many miles on them and are in good shape, is kind of a big process. So I wound up with this one. It has a lot of the modern features that are nice, but it's not way over the top technology wise like that 450 E-Class was. This is a nice looking car. It's not just an aerodynamic box on wheels. It's got some nice features like these flared fenders, and the lines of it are very pleasant. It's a big old-fashioned kind of a Mercedes car, and like all these old S-Class cars, they're heavy as the very dickens. They ride really well. Surprisingly, considering the weight and the way it's suspended and everything, it actually handles pretty well too. It's not as crisp as the E450 by any means, but it's a very pleasant car to drive, and absolutely no reason why anyone would not be happy with its handling and its performance. Oh, listen to this. It has a 4.6 liter V8 twin turbo engine that puts out 429 horsepower, 516 foot-pound of torque. This from a 4.6 liter engine, which is about 280 cubic inches. Now, I remember back when I was a kid, I had a Plymouth V8 with a 318 cubic inch engine, and I was tickled pink that it was getting 230 horsepower. So they've really done a lot with these engines. So comfortable and big, yes. Let's take a look here in the back seat. Oh my Lord! Look at the amount of space you've got back there. You can put all of your aunts and uncles and some of your third cousins twice removed, and still have room for a few more people. About the only thing they'll fight over there is who gets the cup holders. And doors sound like a bank vault closing, don't they? And here's the driver's position and so on. It has a lot of technology, but like I say, it's not over the top. It has all of the buttons are real buttons. It's none of this touch stuff, which drove me crazy. And it has an old-fashioned GPS system, but it works pretty good. You enter the address you want to get to, and 9 times out of 10, it'll get you there pretty well. If it's not good enough, go ahead and use Google Maps or Waze or something like that. Nice leather. It's all in really good shape. This car has 67,000 miles on it. Somebody, the original owner, paid probably around 90 grand for this car. And the thing about these old Mercedes is they just depreciate something fierce. I'm not quite sure why that is, but by the time you get to the point where they're as depreciated as this one is, a lot of people aren't going to spend the money it takes to keep them in shape. And they just drive them for a while and they let stuff fall apart, and pretty soon it's a piece of junk. Well, the Carfax on this one was pretty darn clean. Very nice car. Like it a lot. This should be my last car. At my age, this absolutely should be my last car. Will it be my last car? Who knows? Only the shadow knows. Well, thanks for watching. See you around the bend.